Imagine this. You've spent years working hard, saving up, and finally you buy that shiny new Chevrolet you've always dreamed of. Whether it's the iconic Silverado, the family-friendly Tahoe, or the sleek Equinox, you believe you've made a smart choice, a reliable investment. But then, just a few years down the road, something unexpected happens. Your engine fails, your transmission goes, and suddenly, you're facing repair bills that could wipe out your savings. What went wrong? This isn't just a one-off story. It's happening to thousands of Chevrolet owners across America. In 2025, what was once considered the American dream on wheels has turned into a nightmare for families who trusted the Chevrolet name. You might think this sounds like bad luck, but what if I told you it's much worse than that? What if these failures aren't random? What if Chevrolet knew about these issues all along but chose to ignore them? That's exactly what we're uncovering today. The truth is, Chevrolet's reliability is in freefall, and it's happening right under our noses. Consumer satisfaction surveys reveal that complaints about Chevrolet's vehicles have skyrocketed by 43% since 2022. That's a huge red flag, especially when these problems aren't isolated to just a few models. Silverado engines seizing on highways, Tahoe transmissions failing at less than 70,000 miles, and Equinoxes with turbocharged engines burning through oil like there's no tomorrow. The list goes on. What's even more troubling is how many owners are finding themselves stuck with massive repair bills, all while still making monthly payments on vehicles that are no longer running. But here's the kicker. This isn't just bad luck. It's a systemic issue. Internal documents and whistleblower reports suggest that General Motors has known about these problems for years, yet they continued to sell vehicles with these faulty components. They chose to prioritize short-term profits over the long-term reliability of their products. In simple terms, they're betting that you, the consumer, will foot the bill for their mistakes once the warranty expires. Imagine being a single mother who has to choose between paying for a $12,000 0-cents transmission repair or taking on even more debt for a new car, all while still paying off the vehicle that's now just a financial burden. Or think about the thousands of families whose dream car has turned into a ticking time bomb. And the worst part? General Motors doesn't seem to be taking full responsibility for these failures. Instead, they've adopted a strategy of downplaying issues, dismissing customer complaints, and hoping they'll just go away. You won't believe the shocking details we've uncovered. From engine lifters failing in the popular 5.3L and 6.2L V8 engines, to catastrophic transmission problems, to the widespread electrical issues plaguing vehicles just after their warranties expire. It's a perfect storm of corporate greed and faulty engineering. The result? Everyday Americans are left in financial turmoil, with no support from the very company they trusted to provide a reliable vehicle. So, what does all this mean for you, the potential buyer? Is it time to walk away from Chevrolet, or can you still trust the brand? We've got the facts, the insider information, and the real stories from people just like you. Stick with us because the truth about Chevrolet is far worse than you ever imagined, and what you're about to hear may change the way you view this iconic brand forever. For generations, Chevrolet has been the symbol of the American dream on wheels, a brand that promised reliability, durability, and a sense of pride for its owners. From the classic muscle cars of the 60s to the powerful pickup trucks that have helped build this country, Chevy's vehicles have been an integral part of American culture. But in 2025, this dream has started to unravel in ways that no one saw coming. Thousands of Chevrolet owners across the country are waking up to a nightmare they never expected. Vehicles that should have lasted a decade or more are breaking down after just a few years, and owners are left with crippling repair bills that they simply can't afford. These aren't isolated incidents. In fact, reports from across the country are flooding in from owners of Chevrolet's most popular models, the Silverado, Tahoe, and Equinox. What's even more troubling is that this problem isn't just bad luck or manufacturing defects. It's a pattern of failures that has become all too familiar. According to a report from J.D. Power, complaints about Chevrolet's reliability have jumped by 43%. Since 2022, consumers are voicing concerns on online forums, social media, and even in face-to-face conversations with dealerships, all pointing to the same issue: catastrophic failures of critical systems in their vehicles. The problem is so widespread that it has become a topic of discussion among industry analysts, who are starting to question whether Chevrolet is prioritizing profits over the long-term durability of their cars. The financial impact on consumers is staggering. Many Chevrolet owners find themselves stuck in a financial bind, with repair bills that exceed the value of their vehicles. In some cases, owners are faced with repair costs so high that they are forced to take out new loans or rely on credit cards to cover the expenses, all while still paying off their original car loan. For example, Jason from Arizona bought a 2022 Silverado only to experience a ticking noise in his engine at 45,000 miles. The dealership dismissed it as normal, but just 3,000 miles later the engine completely failed. The repair estimate was $18,000, 0 cents. But with the truck's value plummeting due to the engine failure, Jason found himself in a financial hole that seemed impossible to dig out of. And it's not just the engines. Chevrolet's 8-speed automatic transmissions, used in many of their popular models, have become notorious for violent shaking, hesitation, and sudden power loss. In some cases, the transmission fails completely, often just after the warranty expires. William, a transmission specialist in California, revealed that the issue lies in the design of the 8L45 and 8L90 transmissions, which suffer from premature wear due to faulty friction materials in the clutch system. Despite numerous service bulletins from GM instructing dealers to flush the transmission fluid and add a special lubricant, the problem persists, and many owners find themselves facing transmission replacements costing up to $12,000, 0 cents. This is the reality for Chevrolet owners in 2025. What was once a trusted name in the automotive industry is now the source of widespread frustration, financial hardship, and shattered trust. As more and more people come forward with their own stories of catastrophic failures, the true extent of Chevrolet's reliability crisis is becoming impossible to ignore. What was once the American icon of automotive reliability has now become a symbol of a broken promise. A promise that is costing everyday Americans more than they ever imagined. In 2025, the reliability of Chevrolet vehicles has reached a breaking point. What was once considered one of the most trusted brands in the American automotive industry is now facing an unprecedented backlash from its own customers. According to the latest data from J.D. Power, complaints about Chevrolet's reliability have surged by a staggering 43% since 2022. This dramatic increase in dissatisfaction is not a coincidence. It's a reflection of deep-rooted issues that have been plaguing the brand for years. What's more alarming is that these problems aren't isolated to just a few models or a small number of vehicles. They are widespread across some of Chevrolet's most popular models: the Silverado, the Tahoe, and the Equinox, among others. Owners across the country are sharing similar stories of catastrophic mechanical failures, often just a few years after purchase, long before the vehicles should be experiencing such issues. These breakdowns are happening just as warranties expire, leaving owners facing enormous repair bills that they can't afford. One such case is that of James from Ohio, who bought a 2021 Chevrolet Silverado, drawn in by the promise of long-term reliability and power. But after just 52,000 miles, the engine developed a sudden knocking noise that quickly turned into a complete engine failure. The dealership's response was underwhelming. They dismissed the issue as normal wear and tear, and refused to cover the repair under warranty. When James sought help from an independent mechanic, he was told that the issue stemmed from a defective timing chain, which had been flagged in internal GM reports as a potential weakness in that model. Despite the fact that the problem had been identified years earlier, GM had not taken steps to address it, and now James was stuck with a repair bill of $16,000, 0 cents. Worse yet, his truck's trade-in value had plummeted, leaving him upside down on his loan, still owing more than the truck was worth. The widespread nature of these problems has led to an alarming increase in the number of complaints regarding Chevrolet vehicles. In fact, forums and social media platforms are filled with stories of Chevrolet owners who are experiencing the same or similar issues. catastrophic failures that occur just outside the warranty window, leaving owners with few options but to pay for repairs that should have been covered by the manufacturer. In response to this, J.D. Power's latest report shows that Chevrolet has dropped significantly in their reliability rankings, with the brand now sitting in the bottom third of all automakers, below even some of the less established players in the industry. Industry insiders are beginning to speculate that Chevrolet's decline in reliability is no accident. According to one anonymous former GM engineer, the company's focus has shifted from long-term quality to short-term profits. The engineer claims that GM has been cutting corners in its vehicle designs for years, particularly when it comes to crucial components like engines and transmission. The goal, according to this insider, is to create cars that can pass the warranty period without raising red flags, but with parts that will eventually fail just after the warranty expires. The reasoning behind this decision is clear. GM knows that after the warranty ends, it's the consumer who will bear the brunt of the repair costs. The real tragedy here is that these problems aren't new. In fact, they've been accumulating over the past several years, and Chevrolet has done little to address them. While some owners have managed to get their issues resolved through class action lawsuits or by pushing GM for compensation, many others are left to fend for themselves. In the end, these reliability issues are not just about mechanical failures, they represent a fundamental shift in how Chevrolet operates. Where once the brand was known for its durability, it is now being seen as a symbol of corporate neglect, where profits are placed above the needs and safety of consumers. And as the complaints continue to rise, it's becoming increasingly clear that Chevrolet's reputation for reliability is a thing of the past. The severity of Chevrolet's reliability crisis extends far beyond a few isolated incidents. It's a systemic issue, one that seems to have been ignored for years despite numerous internal warnings. Behind these failures is a complex web of corporate decisions that prioritize profits over the safety and reliability of their products. While customers are left to foot the bill for repair costs, which often run into the thousands of dollars, General Motors continues to rely on short-term fixes rather than addressing the root cause of these failures. It's this very approach, focused more on cost saving than on consumer satisfaction, that has led to the widespread dissatisfaction among Chevrolet owners and has ultimately resulted in the plummeting reputation of the brand. The core of the issue lies in the decisions made by General Motors' top executives over the last decade. According to a former GM quality assurance manager, the company has gradually shifted its focus from long-term durability to cost containment. In other words, GM has been designing and building vehicles with components that are meant to last just long enough to get through the warranty period, and then it's the customer who deals with the aftermath. For years, engineers raised concerns about potential failure points in key systems such as the drivetrain and electrical components. These concerns were documented and flagged in internal reports, but, according to multiple sources, those red flags were ignored in favor of keeping production costs down. The rationale was simple. If a component failed just after the warranty expired, the financial burden would fall on the consumer, not GM. But it's not just engines and transmissions that are causing issues. The electrical systems in these vehicles have also been a source of major concern. In 2025, a report surfaced about the widespread electrical failures plaguing Chevrolet's most popular models. From dashboard warning lights that illuminate randomly to complete shutdowns of critical safety features while driving, these electrical gremlins have become a growing nightmare for Chevrolet owners. The problem has been traced back to the wiring harnesses used in several Chevrolet models, including the Silverado and the Traverse. These harnesses were found to be highly susceptible to corrosion and water intrusion, which causes the wiring to short out and fail. Once the wiring begins to corrode, it can cause a cascade of failures across the vehicle's entire electrical system, affecting everything from engine timing to braking and even airbags. The worst part? By the time the issues become apparent, the warranties have often expired, leaving the owner with no choice but to pay out of pocket for repairs that can cost anywhere from $4,000, 0 cents, to $10,000, 0 cents. The financial consequences for Chevrolet owners are staggering. With repair costs often exceeding the value of the vehicle itself, many owners find themselves trapped in a vicious cycle. The worst-case scenario is when a vehicle breaks down just after the warranty expires, leaving the owner with no recourse but to pay for the repairs themselves. But even for those who do manage to get repairs covered by GM, the process can be excruciatingly slow, with some owners waiting weeks or even months for parts to arrive. And when the repairs are finally made, many owners report that the problems persist, with the same components failing again just a short time later. This is particularly common with Chevrolet's 8-speed automatic transmissions, which have been plagued by premature wear due to design flaws. Despite numerous service bulletins and technical updates, GM has yet to issue a permanent fix, leaving many owners to replace their transmissions every few years. It's not just the individual owners who are feeling the impact of these reliability issues. The broader economic implications are significant as well. According to a report from the National Automotive Dealers Association, Chevrolet's declining reliability has had a ripple effect on the entire auto industry, with consumers growing increasingly wary of Chevrolet's long-term dependability. Many are choosing to buy from competing brands like Ford, Toyota, and Honda, companies that have managed to maintain their reputation for reliability and durability. As Chevrolet's customer base shrinks, so does its market share, and this in turn impacts dealerships, suppliers, and the entire supply chain that supports GM's operations. The damage to the brand's reputation is already evident in used car prices. According to data from Kelley Blue Book, 3-year-old Chevrolet models have depreciated faster than most other vehicles in their segment, with some losing up to 30% of their value in just 3 years. This erosion of customer trust is compounded by the fact that GM seems to be doing little to address the underlying issues. While other automakers are investing heavily in improving the reliability of their vehicles, GM appears to be doubling down on its cost-cutting measures. One particularly troubling sign is the sharp rise in the price of extended warranties for Chevrolet vehicles. In 2023, GM quietly increased the cost of their extended warranty plans by nearly 30%, a move that many experts see as an acknowledgement that the company expects more of its vehicles to experience major mechanical failures once the standard warranty expires. This move has raised concerns that GM is effectively betting against its own products, knowing full well that many of its vehicles won't last beyond the warranty period. In response to the growing criticism, GM has issued a series of vague statements promising to improve quality control and address the reliability issues. But for many consumers, these promises ring hollow. The damage has already been done, and the trust that Chevrolet once enjoyed has been shattered. For families who believed they were making a sound investment in a dependable American-made vehicle, the harsh reality has set in. Chevrolet no longer offers the reliability it once did. Instead, it's become a brand defined by systemic flaws and a corporate culture that values profits over people. And as the stories of frustrated, financially devastated customers continue to pour in, the future of Chevrolet remains uncertain. As the reliability crisis deepens for Chevrolet, the question of how consumers can protect themselves in this environment becomes more urgent. Can potential buyers still trust the Chevrolet brand in 2025, or should they walk away entirely? The answer, of course, depends on how much risk one is willing to accept and how carefully they approach their vehicle purchase. Unfortunately, the harsh reality is that for many, the risk may simply not be worth it. For anyone considering purchasing a Chevrolet today, it is crucial to understand that the cars, trucks, and SUVs on the market now may not be the dependable, long-lasting vehicles they once were. The fact is, many Chevrolet models, especially the Silverado, Tahoe, and Equinox, are now plagued by issues that owners are struggling to address, all while still paying off their loans. These vehicles are breaking down well before they should, leaving buyers with repair bills that exceed the value of their cars. And with warranties that often expire just as the major issues begin, many consumers find themselves financially trapped. This is no longer an isolated issue. It is now a widespread problem that has reached critical mass. The next step is to consider the warranty and extended coverage options. In the wake of these reliability problems, Chevrolet's extended warranties have become even more crucial. However, they've also become significantly more expensive, which is a clear signal that GM expects more vehicles to require expensive repairs. While these warranties might offer some peace of mind, they often come at a high price, and for many consumers, the cost of extended coverage may be nearly as much as the cost of the vehicle itself. It's important to weigh the price of extended coverage against the potential repair costs, but also to acknowledge that opting out of these warranties might leave you financially vulnerable if something goes wrong. Additionally, financing is another key factor to consider. With auto loans now commonly stretching up to 84 months, consumers are taking on longer-term debt for vehicles that may not last beyond the warranty period. The risk here is not just the potential for expensive repairs, but the possibility of being upside down on your loan, owing more than the vehicle is worth. This is a growing concern among Chevrolet owners, as many report being unable to trade in their vehicles without taking on additional debt. The value of the vehicle depreciates rapidly due to the mechanical failures, and buyers who are stuck with a loan balance greater than the vehicle's worth are left with few options.